Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. Oh boy. Today I've not had the
Ooh,
best of
doggy.
I've not had the best of mornings, folks, having to wake up to watch Silent Hill, the
I mean,
movie.
that was your choice, though, to wait until the morning.
I had other more enjoyable things that I needed to do this week, and I was just like, okay, do I skip some one little thing in the morning and do that
I
instead?
mean,
And
the answer is you'd never skip episodes of One Piece for this.
right, right, exactly, exactly, folks. But whom amongst us here, hasn't started a fundamentalist cult and sacrificed a child to the sun god and created some
I mean, I was
alternate
raised
reality
Mormon.
hellscape. But
Listen,
this is relatable. This plot of this movie is relatable.
if
You
you
know, they
don't
were
burn
just
the
missing the
witches,
Mormon missionaries coming and knocking on the door for it to be 100% accurate to my
Mhm.
life. I wake up in a cold sweat every night going, Salt Lake City, Salt Lake City.
Yeah. And here we go, guys. We're getting into Matt's childhood trauma with the Boy Scouts. Here it is. We're putting the pieces together. I
Yep.
have to update my Charlie Day board of Salt Lake
It's
City.
fascinating that you went Boy Scouts there when that was just the Mormon Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints.
True, but
the organization of the Boy Scouts, is tied up with not necessarily with the Mormon Church, but with
the Christian.
No, with regular Christian churches. And I say regular because I
larger
can say that
American
openly.
Protestantism. Which big theme for this movie here.
John
Back to
Proctor would
they,
love
them, the
Silent
Mormon
Hill.
Church.
Andrew, I feel
already
like
off to a solid start, boys.
yeah, I was just gonna say, Andrew, you got to lead this one. This is your horror genre.
I actually have a little bit of fun facts about this movie.
Go.
Well, I like the one where the director went full on weeaboo to get it made.
Yes, that's the fun fact that I have, that it took him 5 years to get the rights and involved him sending Konami. It's Konami, right? Silent Hill.
Yep.
Yeah. Sending Konami basically fan fiction shit that he put together.
I just think it's funny is that the video that he sent them just had full on Japanese subtitles and all this to so he could show them that he's cultured.
Surprised he didn't make the actors learn the script in Japanese.
He just sent them this pitch video.
He had to commit to a fantastical devotion to a specific type of culture in order to get this movie made.
And that specific type of culture is super sexism because apparently they had to change the lead role from a father looking for his daughter to a mother because test audiences wouldn't believe a father. Obviously, this predates.
So I didn't see that. And hold on. I didn't see that. And I saw something actually contrary to that, which is that the entire script was only women. And they sent it to the producer.
That's what I was going to say.
And they were like, we need a male role.
It failed the reverse Bechdel test. It was only women talking about.
Well, so that lends to, Ben, your confusion following the plot beats. I know it wasn't
confusion. I just it was purposeful. Just I'm just gonna be sideways scrolling my phone so I don't get full on psychic damage from this.
Still, to my point, all the Sean Bean plot sequences, plot lines, are so haphazardly put in and are just so missable.
Okay, yeah, right. Because that is the one part that I actively couldn't. The circle I couldn't square was the timeline shenaniganry about how
it was happening simultaneously.
But, he was just
he was in the real world.
But then there's also the bit about how the events that created the weird, twisted, dual split reality in Silent Hill happened in the 70s.
But
and there are characters that cross over from the original to now the real world who don't make sense. So like the little girl is the one that you could most excuse because there's supernatural shit going on with her, but like how he was removed
2000s
from
creepy
Silent
child
Hill
horror movies, my favorite type of genre
in the 70s, but like didn't age or like skipped 30 years. But the main one was the cop who was present at the ritual that created
the detective that was with
Tig from Sons of Anarchy.
Tig, Detective Gucci, and
yes,
no, I'm not joking.
Yeah. I love that. That's what I'm telling you. This is filled with. This isn't a Italiophile film as well as a weeaboo film. He was pleasing someone over in Italy as well.
I just that was the bit that was like, how does this all fit together in terms of timeline shenanigans? I couldn't piece together.
It's totally because, to Andrew's point, whether that's true or not, it seems like they just like that was slapped in at the end, and it's not cohesive really to the story or necessary.
What do you mean? He could smell his wife's perfume in the same hallway.
It was originally he was only supposed to be there at the beginning. In the end, it's effective because it's just like the whole ambiguity of are they not back to, it's very much a Inception ending, right? The like, are they back? Who's in the real world now? Yeah. Who isn't? Who's come back to reality or not?
Back to reality. Oop, there goes gravity.
And just like seeing these kind of parallel realities, which was like some like interesting use of like lighting to be able to juxtapose the.
Oh, Matt,
we didn't get past the crash before we started.
Oh well, it's okay. He knows how to fix it in post now, so it's not
He's
a big
pro
deal.
at that.
Yeah, he'll pop back in just a minute. So I was saying like there's like it was a pretty interesting use of like kind of lighting to differentiate between these two realities.
Mm-hmm.
That Sean Bean's plot line is always much brighter lit, although it does still have this like sepia tone.
Yep, I was gonna say they don't make it a stark contrast, which is what I kind of liked about it. It was like kind of subtle because they both had that sepia tone to them, but
the other one is more washed. It's all washed out because of the fog and all that. So no, it doesn't have the sepia tone like
even
the Sean Bean one does.
Even when they're in the buildings, when that fog isn't there, it has like I guess it's not as warm of a tone. It is cooler, suggesting that they're in the this other realm.
They're in the bad place.
Yeah,
they're in Silent Hill.
They're in the upside down.
Sorry, that's where I just got taken.
Yeah. When are we going to get
Matt's now in Silent Hill. All right, so do we want to run through the plot quickly just to summarize what happens in this flick?
Yeah, we can just kind of touch on different points. I do have a question though before we start though, in case anybody has a perspective that we can kind of compare and contrast. Has anybody played any of the Silent Hill games? This one is like most loosely based off of the first one. I know with the little bit I was reading in, the director was saying how he wanted at first to adapt Silent Hill 2 because he liked the story more, but was like, you don't have the lore background of how Silent Hill as a place and almost like as an entity unto itself came into being. So that's why he ultimately went with the first one.
Which that's a strange, I don't know. I think that's a weird choice either. Like I with what
he
this
basically made both though, because he made it loosely based off one and we're going to put Pyramid Head in here because he's cool.
Yeah, but like you also don't need the lore. It's a horror movie. Like you can throw a character into a scary setting and not have to like lore dump to make a movie
it's
work.
It's not trying to be just a scary movie for, cheap adrenaline spikes, right? That
no, it's a disturbing movie more than it's a horror movie.
It's like what speaks to that is like the director's intention is like his kind of obsession's not the right word, but like his reverence for the property. He's like, this was like an impactful story and has more to it than, this isn't just, cheap entertainment type of thing. So
it's
like
not just a scary setting.
He wants to try to say, quote unquote, say something more with it and to be more artistic, and both with the message of, the religious fundamentalism as well as the more kind of psychological.
I think the message that he was putting across is if you're gonna sacrifice a child, finish the fucking job.
Mm-hmm. maybe use a better method than some weird chain a biblically. You guys seen the meme of the biblically accurate grill, the gyro spinning grill?
And no, but I'm gonna look that up now because
you should. Amazing. It's hilarious. But that's just what I was thinking about, is that they were sacrificing the child on the biblically accurate grill. That just the chain broke and it went swinging. And folks at home, you should go look that up. Yeah, Andrew, as the horror aficionado, the one who probably was giving this the most critical eye in terms of where
Andrew was watching this like it was a fucking kids movie. He's like, pathetic. This is what they call mid-2000s horror.
So, yeah, I totally probably did have the most interested viewing of any of you, because this is a movie I'd been meaning to watch even outside of the podcast, just for my own kind of horror.
You went and watched the sequel just for his own enjoyment after?
I did not do that.
Good, so if you enjoyed this one, you would hate the sequel. Apparently, it retcons everything the first movie does.
It was different.
Sean Bean has a bigger role in it though, and it turns out that he is actually Harry Mason, the protagonist from the original game. They do something weird with that.
Interesting. Here's my short thoughts on it as a horror movie fan. This movie is visually, for its time, I think actually really pretty strong. There's some bad CGI, but all in all, they do a good job with the visuals of the monsters. Pyramid Head he's sweet looking. They nailed it.
You know that actor had to wear 15-inch platform shoes that he wore to make him over 7 feet tall.
That's why you never actually see his feet. In the one scene where you would, it's he's got the swarm of the weird bug things climbing up.
Yeah,
cool.
He wears 15-inch platform shoes to make it more imposing and realistic.
He also has what is maybe the best kill in this movie, when he just skins alive that one woman at that when they get to the church. But
that's exactly how skinning works too, by the way. It's just a skin suit that gets ripped off.
But I think this is a pretty solid movie for the time in terms of visuals. I don't find it to be particularly scary. I think it is definitely going more for the psychological horror, and it hits it in some points, but it also gets bogged down. This movie's way too long. There's
I said that
too
on
much
stream yesterday.
Yeah, there's too much just exposition that really isn't all that necessary. Several things that are open and make you ask direct questions aren't answered in any sort of satisfying way. So there's just some bloat to it that I think really limits its impact.
They also do a lot of actual video game ass shit in this movie, though.
They do,
like finding the hotel clue in the mouth with the arrows pointing at it, finding the room number with pictures in the hotel slot, finding the missing door behind the disturbing painting, video game ass shit.
And Rose even does a little platforming. She jumps over across the iron supports of some industrial or mining equipment, it seems.
I mean, it is in West Virginia, so mining would probably be accurate.
Yeah, exactly. It's a coal town, which is a great setting for a horror, scary, thriller movie. Love that.
Based off a real place. Based off a real place in central Pennsylvania.
Centralia.
Yeah. Which is an incredible place to if you look it up, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. It lives rent free in my head.
Yeah, I don't choose to look into living anywhere where the hills have eyes could definitely take place.
It's literally a coal fire underground that's just still going on and like cracks the pavement and like fucking magma essentially like comes up. It's
dude, so Pennsylvania like kind of honestly is like a sleeper in the running for one of the most cursed states ever.
For sure.
Wasn't it
Pennsylvania? East Ohio. Yeah. It's just East Ohio.
Wasn't like the Pennsylvania the place last year where like they had that like crazy toxic event that's going to give the entire state cancer? And
no, that was Ohio.
That was Ohio.
But it was it was like 30 miles from the border.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Pennsylvania has the most cursed location in all of the country. That is Philadelphia.
True.
No, I'm not going to throw Philly hate. The parts of Pennsylvania that scare me are the areas where there's not a lot of people.
Yeah, I've spent
I don't know, anywhere where there's a lot of Philadelphia Eagles and 76ers fans.
I've met some people in Pennsylvania. It's a scary place, truly.
I mean, I've definitely gone from DC back to Vermont and taken the back way instead of taking all the tolls, and driven through some places where it's like I just like functionally increased their population by a large percentage while I drove through.
But ultimately my final kind of conclusion with this movie is it's not a great horror film. This isn't a movie I'm going to rewatch. It didn't, make me feel what I want to feel watching this genre. At least not far enough. However, I do think this is the best horror game adaptation movie. I think this is better than any of the Resident Evils in terms of being a horror movie. Like I think it's the best of
I think the Resident Evils fall more into action movies than they do actual horror. Especially after the first one.
As they've gone on.
Yeah, totally a fair argument that could be made.
You know that in the Silent Hill movie, that all but one of the monsters shown were from the game directly? And that the one original monster is the dude bound up with his feet tied up over his head that crawls out.
Which was a cool design.
I did not like that one.
That's a cool design.
I did not want to know what that tongue do.
My favorite
it'd be doing a lot.
My favorite were the sexy nurse zombies.
The nurses, yeah.
Every single one of those nurses had a bod. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, I thought similarly.
An interesting choice.
I mean, I think that's part of I don't know a lot about the actual Silent Hill games per se, but I think that's one of the like aspects of the psychological horror is the like taking things that and it would be like sexy nurses, it's almost Halloween, the top costume every fucking year, and then turning it scary with what's above the neck.
Yeah. A faceless zombie monstrosity.
There's another fun little tidbit where the way they got the movements of the nurses to be so creepy was that they had them walk backwards and then they filmed it and they played it in reverse.
That's cool. They did, their movements were weird. So
the guy who played Pyramid Head was also like the leader they're the director for all the creatures, all the monsters, the movement coach, because they're basically all dancers. Was like including the guy who played Pyramid Head. But yeah, all the nurses, they were all.
I mean, you'd have to have some crazy balance to be able to walk around on 15-inch platforms.
Yeah. All with some weird contortionist shit.
So I am curious, like, did you guys find this movie to raise your blood pressure? Did you feel tension? Because that's where I think it kind of misses it. It misses because of, in my mind, I think it's just the pacing. I think the pacing does the most harm to its ability to kind of make you feel tense and gripped by the horrors of what's happening on screen.
Well, and I think part of that again goes back to the Sean Bean and the detective scenes that are just kind of like thrown in there and throw you off from following the plot line. But yeah, I think that it was predictable at times, like when there was going to be horror things.
Well, yeah, there's a whole chime thing that goes off. Bunch of sirens.
The klaxon alarm. Yeah. All I ever found myself doing was just like, making a kind of disgusting face.
Yeah. And the biggest
it's disturbing, not scary.
The biggest one was when the wires from the grill thing went right up the lady's pussy.
I was like, I literally said out loud, that was unnecessary.
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, they're doing it because she beat the child.
Well, there's a whole sexual element involved with that whole plot line, with the child being born out of wedlock and then raped by the janitor, who I think is the one who becomes Pyramid Head, and or is the personification of Pyramid Head. And so there's
what is it with horror movies demonizing janitors? We had Freddy Krueger,
and you know what? They're just workers. We're giving them a bad name.
They're good union jobs too.
Yeah. Except where they aren't because of capitalism, and we've
they are up here. Them. I know they're all like the public school.
Yeah, those are all public.
Sanitation sanitation workers are all good union paying jobs. But that is funny. That is funny. But yeah, no, I literally out loud just said that's not necessary.
I chuckled at it. It was pretty funny.
I found that whole like last kill scene with the barbed wire to be pretty like different from the rest of the movie in terms of just how violent it felt. But
yeah,
I didn't dislike it as the culmination of taking down the evil witch hunter cult.
Apparently he had wanted to do something else. I skimmed over it. I don't quite remember what it was, but he ended up having to go with that as the it was like that was the original ending. He wanted to do something slightly different, and because of budget or time constraints had to stick with it. I'll see if I can find what it was that he wanted to do.
I always fall into my one issue with any of these types of movies is that I just don't do creepy children, because I find children creepy in general. So it's like the Grudge girl or the Ring girl.
Yeah, it's just easy to make them even creepier.
Yeah. I mean, I think a comedian even does a bit on that at one point when he's talking about like when you have kids and you wake up and they're just standing at the foot of your bed like watching you.
Yeah. I've heard this bit. I don't remember who it is, but it's definitely out there.
Okay, so here it is. So this was actually what ended up being was the one that they had to rework for budget reasons. That according to the initial idea, there would have been 6 pyramid heads to be present inside the church, slaughtering the cult members with various members, which was supposed to be an allusion to the events of Dante's Inferno.
Dante.
Damn, that might have been cooler if they had pulled it off.
Yeah, good luck finding 6 actors who can walk around on 15-inch platforms.
Yeah, I mean, my question, maybe just for the time that VFX stuff didn't cost the same as it does now, but I would have thought that like going largely practical would have been cheaper than if the main reason is budgetary, like do the barbed wire, which is all CGI. Well, I would have, from my modern perspective, weird to think of this as not modern, but
yeah, no, we had that moment also on stream when I was like, oh, you were like, it's almost 20 years ago. I was like, what do you mean? 2006 was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
No, you
where did you all kind of come to as a conclusion for the ending here? Like we have alluded to the fact that it's Inception, like where you don't know who's where, but like I
mean they're still in the nightmare realm.
Yeah, that's what I think. I do think it's pretty clear that Sean Bean has been abandoned by his wife and child.
And I know enough about the sequel to know that they do come back, but then they die immediately.
Interesting.
Well, the wife dies immediately.
Right. The based on like the origin on the game, this is just from my reading secondhand, that the original game had multiple endings, and one of them is essentially just that is where I kind of read more into it. It's basically it's like that they've been or she's been dead or whatever, whoever has been dead the whole time. That that this is all, like the DMT hitting type of thing. And
when she goes to save her from jumping off the cliff at the beginning, they both fall off. And this is the entire
or just the car accident.
Yes, like that's what it is in the game. Is
in the game
there's a car accident, and like then it's just basically one of the endings is basically saying that it was a car accident that they died, and this has just been the dying embers of his blood clotted brain. Basically,
that's a rough ending, man. Fuck. I hope mine's a little more pleasant than that.
Better be knocking on wood right now.
But yeah, of course they give you the weirdness of like there is some overlap in them, in the fact that the door is open in the real world.
Right.
That when Sean Bean wakes up from his nap.
I almost actually took it as like this implication that this, dark entity that is more or less alluded to be the devil type of thing, essentially, is still in Anna.
He got zorped.
What getting me to remember any of their fucking names?
She got zorped back into her body.
Yeah, exactly. And so like she's gonna take over the world.
That also gets retconned in the sequel. In the sequel, they have them back being split again.
Oh, interesting. That's a strange choice.
I didn't take it that it was like, it's not like the devil, but more like a demon. They are kind of right in calling it a demon, but like the cult is right in calling it a demon, but like they're the ones who created it, and it's like a demon created by trauma and all this. And you can read into some more kind of.
I mean, trauma is a big part of the Silent Hill games. That's like the whole shtick of them. Yeah. Is coming to terms with your trauma.
So I am curious.
If those games came out today, it would be wokeified. People would be like, "Oh my god, trauma dumping in a game."
Didn't they wokeify isn't that the big thing? They wokeified the Silent Hill remake, the Silent Hill 2 remake. They made one character more masculine or something, and that's the one where the Gooners they edited the Wikipedia page, right? And that had to get locked down because they kept changing the review scores.
Yes.
So it's already gone woke. Wokeified.
Did anyone pick up on? I don't know if I was just kind of making up things here, but did it seem like it was implying Officer Gucci was the father of the initial girl who got?
I had thought something along those lines because I forgot that his name was Gucci, and like had seen that someone else's name was Gillespie, and I thought that it was that there was some connection that he was.
It's the Italian connection.
That he was the illegitimate father or whatever of the girl. But then again, the timeline of that bit just makes no fucking sense.
How old was the actor when he was playing that? Because if the character's 50,
40s,
he's probably in his 40s.
If the character's 50, then he's 20 when the shit goes down. He could be a cop.
Could have been a beat cop.
Yeah.
In 1970.
Exactly.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's not entirely out of the.
They just don't make it very clear.
I mean, we all went to school with someone who had a kid at like 15 or something like that. So
yeah. And who knows? In the 70s in fucking Virginia, maybe you could become a cop at 14. You know,
that's when they deputize you. You get that fake sheriff's badge, and they give you a real gun.
Yeah.
Jim Coates was born in 1958.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
And it happens in 76 is
So
when
you would have been 18.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're an actor, you can
exactly. Yeah,
you could play with. I mean, we do it all the
baseline.
time with 30-year-olds who say they're 17 in a movie.
Right. No, it's just to say that the maths. There's enough math.
It's close enough.
Exactly.
There's enough.
I squared the circle.
I still don't fully buy it, but
I'm not saying that he's the father. I'm just we closed the gap that he.
Yeah, we've turned this into a Maury episode.
Test results are in. You are not the father. But like he rescues her. They show him rescuing. I feel like that was something that they definitely wanted to maybe include and got cut or something like that, because it just there was too much in Ben, to your point, like
long.
Yeah, the movie's definitely too
long. Well, it was like 2 hours.
It's 2 hours. It probably realistically should have been closer to an hour 40.
Yeah.
It was just under 2 hours.
No, there's too much. The running around that Rose does at the beginning, like she runs through Silent Hill, she then runs back to the cop, then her and the cop run around through Silent Hill. Like,
dude, that was the part where I was like, before we started recording, I was like, does anybody have a clear beat by beat remembering of the plot? Even though I literally watched this an hour ago. It was that
I got lost in that.
It was that early part. I was just like, and part of it was the intentional, just like, I don't want to do psychic damage to myself, as well
just
as
from
like
figuring this out.
But also just like, it was the pacing made it a little boring. That I was just like, this doesn't really seem important. So here, let me check my phone and see what the current drama is for the Space Marine 2 update. That's what I've been paying attention to.
And
folks,
but you're not wrong.
Be on the lookout for my next blog post talking about this, coming out later next week.
But you're not wrong. Those scenes are essentially missable. Like it's mostly just setting up.
Consequential.
Yeah, it's setting. It's creating setting.
You could have had the cop be the one waking her up in her car,
right
after the accident. You could have skipped that first setup and gone right there.
I
have another little fun fact. Where if you're paying attention in the background as they're walking through, one of the buildings is titled M.T. Rooms, Empty Rooms, which is an homage to the fact that most of the buildings and storefronts in the original game are just blocks that you can't interact with.
I wanted to say something about the cop. Immediately would lose any type of survival horror game. Just immediately emptying a clip. It just dumps her like one of 2 clips into one monster.
Let's be realistic here for a second. Drop yourself into that situation. Are you not firing at least a couple bullets at the thing before you realize it's not working?
Absolutely, but you gotta be careful with your
10
management.
She also at that point didn't know that there was no leaving. Like that was before she realized that the road was gone.
There's always no leaving. You gotta. Like when it gets foggy like that, you gotta know.
Dude, I wake up in that fog every fucking morning in the fall. It always goes away.
Yeah, well, you're used to that. That's your surroundings normally.
Sybil the cop is walking around with literally 1 bullet for 80% of this movie.
Yeah, you know why you carry 1 bullet?
For yourself.
Pop yourself,
Which but no, that entire section is where they really could have cut some out and made this a better movie by doing so, because it just is. It's slow. It's 20 minutes. It's like 20 full minutes.
They had to get some extra creature showing in, though, right? That was like some of their main opportunities to show like some of the monsters.
Yeah, but when she goes and pulls the hotel thing out of the dude's mouth, I would never do that. I would see that and I'd be like, "Oh, cool.
That thing's gonna come alive
touching that
and bite my fingers off as soon as I get
only
close.
If I have one of the claw things.
Yeah. You need those grippers.
Yeah.
I would treat this situation like I do any horror game, where I would find a nice closet or locker to close myself in.
Just not engage? Like,
close to menu, delete off system. My character survived because he didn't get killed.
so one of my like major critiques of the movie is like it goes hand in hand with what I think is kind of one of the more interesting parts of it, is that I thought it was better because it wasn't a jump scare fest, right? That it was trying to be more psychologically stimulating in that way, and uh giving you these kind of, what's the right word? Mystical isn't really the right word, but like these supernatural explanations of why these things exist. Yet they don't really do that. Like they do it for like the world and like in a sense, but like you don't quite understand what the monsters are supposed to represent exactly. Like there's some clear correlation between that, like, oh, that this is really just a reflection of the protagonist's psyche, that
I
this
don't
is
know.
just
Felt like
them.
every monster was something related to bondage.
The nurse one was the only one that like was kind of clear, because that gets played out, that like there was that nurse character who had a, like, kind of precipitated the actual fracture of the girl's psyche by
Yeah.
even seeing someone who is supposed to be there to care for you and heal you to be repulsed by your presence, like to see that there is no safe place left for this child, like, is what precipitated the break. So like, yeah, so seeing these nurses, hot as they once were, turn into these grotesque monsters, that one was the clearest. But like, I don't know
According to
what
Google's AI
the other ones are supposed to be.
summarization, Pyramid Head symbolizes judgment, guilt, and anger.
Oh, very deep, Chat GPT. We love it.
So, some say Pyramid Head is judgment personified and represents James' guilt and anger over Mary's death.
Yeah, that's in the game though.
Yeah, I mean, he's not supposed to be in this movie.
Yeah,
because he only introduced in 2.
Yes.
It's not. I didn't even know that.
he's unkillable in 2. He's like you essentially have to run away from him.
There's usually a character like that in these games.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like Nemesis or classic. Mr. X or.
Yeah, Mr.
That's
X
the extent of my knowledge,
example.
because those are movie characters as well as Resident Evil game characters.
I know Mr. X, and that's it.
He's kind of like the first. He's one of the first of that archetype for sure.
So I was just back to my point was just like, okay, then what the fuck are these, like, these creatures supposed to be? Like these weird little demon children that are like on fire. Like, okay, I guess actually now I'm thinking that one through. I get that one. That's literally these children have been immolated.
Yeah. The like slug ones are less clear. There's like these slug kind of zombie things.
The one that spits acid at at the cop. I was just like, what is this one?
Yeah, unclear as to what that really is connected to within Alessa's mental psyche. Because ultimately, like all of those things, yeah, they are her dark manifestations of like revenge against these townspeople and witch hunters, as they.
Yeah, the inclusion of Pyramid Head makes very little sense to me. Something about
it was just that he's an iconic looking creature.
Oh right, I know, I get why they do it, but they just, like, it's not implemented well. That like there isn't this. It would be if there was some role like that, like the girl had some kind of protector, rather than it's literally a creation of like her tormentor. I don't quite get it.
Yeah, that doesn't really match well. Something that I saw that was interesting is it kind of seemed like the director, who is Christopher Gans, and the writer.
Christoph. I think it's
Christoph. Yeah, it is. I added an R. You're right. It's Christoph Gans. and Roger Avery.
So many Eastern European countries.
I don't care.
Roger. Whoa, dude, he's French. That's my job. I'm supposed to be the non-caring.
Western European.
He's French.
Oh, then it's fine.
Yeah.
And Roger Avery, and essentially, it seemed like they kind of had a contentious script writing experience where Roger wanted more heavy dialogue scenes, and Christoph wanted it to be more like visual. They also kind of went back and forth on some key plot elements, like the use of Anna and how she gets brought into the story. And it's just some interesting things in the Wikipedia that make me think the writing process between the two of them was maybe a little bit contentious in a way that results in some of these kind of jarring pacing issues where, and like having some things that don't really make a whole lot of sense with other things, is because it's almost like kind of two people were writing the script at the same time and not coming to a cohesive vision. So that's, I think, a part of what's at play here.
Did you guys know that he's making another one of these?
Yes, that was something I also wanted to talk about.
Jeez. Talk about redemption.
Which is strange because he didn't do the second one.
Because the first one was not received well at all.
I mean, it did make money.
Yeah. And if you want to talk about not received well, a 32 or whatever it is on Rotten Tomatoes by critics is still better than the 8 that the sequel got.
It is it is, one of those movies though where you look at like something like the Metacritic or the Rotten Tomatoes and there's a clear break between critics and fans where it's like generally unfavorable critic and generally favorable fan rating.
Well, generally favorable is a nice way of saying 60 whatever.
No, it was like 74. It was like 74. It was in the 70s. I'm pretty sure on Metacritic.
Oh, Metacritic. I only look at Rotten Tomatoes for movies.
I mean, Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes both have a lot of problems.
63 Rotten Tomato for viewer score, 32 for critics. Yeah. What did you say, Metacritic?
It did end up making about 120 million.
Silent Hill Revelations on Rotten Tomatoes, 8% critic, 35% viewer.
Rough.
Yeah, Silent Hill Metascore was 31.
Yeah, and 7.4 for audience.
Was like generally unfavorable versus generally favorable.
Yeah, so Return to Silent Hill.
It was filmed finished filming this year.
Oh, and he said he's based it on Silent Hill too. Interesting.
He just pulling the Silent Hill 2 doesn't exist?
It kind of seems like it.
Will Sean Bean be in it at all? That's what I want to know.
I don't think he is.
Can we talk about again how
if he's in it, he has to have his new contract ratified where he dies in the movie, so
we talk about how inconsistent his accent was in his
Yes. His accents were so funny.
All over the place. I wish I had taken notes on some specific examples, but it was just super. I
think one of my favorite aspects of the movie for the time is the web page he pulls up for Haunted Towns.
Oh yeah.
Just a little snapshot back to mid-2000s web design.
Yep.
I do love when I still come across a website that hasn't been updated and still has that
Heaven's
layout.
Gate. Still from 1996 when they all did a mass what? Can't get those Nikes anymore.
What did you all think about the attempt at criticism of religious fundamentalism? Because this is comes out in 2006. You know, it's like kind of in the real height of evangelicalism here in the US.
Atheism, or like, you know, the beginning ascent.
That is those have similar you know, through points. The evangelicalism, rise of evangelicalism, and, you know, U.S. nationalism, but then also like you know, r/atheism.
And the r/atheism types are my favorite, and I say that as an atheist. They are some very funny individuals there.
I think the critique of like fundamentalism was weak. It was just like a kind of fundamentalism bad.
No, I would have liked, you know, like, if you're gonna do that, at least throw down the fucking gauntlet. You know, like this was like very, you know, obliquely, you know, kind of Christian
honestly, it would make imagery. It scarier.
Because like the even like the crucifix that like has been a symbol throughout this thing that like hides on, that is like on top of the church and was in the girls' paintings, is like not a real crucifix, not even like a Orthodox version of it. It's just like it's a
give me those mega churches.
It's a vaguely cross-like symbol. But like,
give me the mega churches where Jesus is up there in his all white glory, getting fucking stabbed real hard with that spear, his bleeding out his glorious 6-pack abs. That's the Jesus in the crucifix they should have had. No, but there was really no actual critique of it. It was like, just kind of used as a plot device.
And like with like the conflation between that and like the whole witch hunter, like the obsession with witches, also like just like it doesn't land in a good way, because it seems anachronistic in a certain way that, like, you know, fucking
1960s, 70s.
But I guess
you're pre-satanic panic. No, you're pre that. That's the 80s.
That's the 80s. But then you do have a slight resurgence in the late 90s with stuff like fucking Harry Potter. You know, like the evangelical turn against Harry Potter is like they're trying to sell witchcraft, you know, like to our children.
And that's when, you know, in the late 90s, early 2000s, you're getting on like the nightly news all about like Wiccans and shit. Like teenage Wiccans and goths infecting children.
I just don't remember having as much purchase. So like, to me that still seems a bit off and not as clear a distinction being made. But yeah, it seems like he wants to make this point, but like doesn't fully commit to it, and it's not coherent in any way that can actually offer a tangible criticism.
And honestly, the biggest thing is like it's vaguely Catholic because they have like the sisters and stuff.
Yeah.
But like then also kind of you know, like just Christian generally, and that area is gonna be Christian, not Catholic. Let me tell you. West Virginia
Protestant.
I mean, yeah, Protestant, not.
You say Christian, not Catholic. That is squares. That is squares, rectangles.
Well, I mean, if you're the Catholics, little C Catholic, you know, we're the universal religion here. No, but yeah, it was mixed up. Like, if you're gonna go Catholic, go full Catholic with the imagery, because that shit's already demonic, you know, and like Gothic and whatever. Or go full blast with evangelical, you know, Protestant Christian, and, you know, make it in like a fucking trailer park mega church type thing.
I do think that there is fruitful ground there.
Pretty sure the Outlast games touch on that more.
It's like kind of towing this line, right, where the reality of right-wing evangelicalism is this death cult in reality. It is something that is preoccupied by a death drive. That it is something that is not that
isn't that most religious fundamentalism in general?
But kind of, but not really.
The drive to meet your maker in the end.
Because the Christian one is like it's this contradiction is what defines it. It is this obsession with trying to lay the blame on, say, that others, that the sinful other is the one that's doing like child sacrifice, yet the actual reality is that this group is the one who puts the most kind of evil into the world and does the most kind of material harm. You could call it, say, material harm, material marginalizing that actually creates death in the world, whether or not they are participating in violent activity themselves. But that's then, put on its head here, is that like that they're like decrying witches and saying you're demons and all these things. Yet how are we going to do this is by doing literal child sacrifice. That it's a little ham-fisted on the nose, is like that. Yeah, the people who are claiming child sacrifice, or like claiming child sacrifice, are the ones doing it. It's the type of thing like that the people who are obsessed with Pizzagate would be the ones absolutely lining up to do it if it was actually real. Like it's
like the
that
pedo hunters that are pedos.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right. That is a uniquely Christian fundamentalism. Yeah. Is this contradiction at its heart. And I think
American Christian fundamentalism.
Yeah, that exists here, but like it's just like it's weird. It is both on the nose but also not direct enough.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that even though like it seems on the nose, it's very missable.
Sure, like, particularly because most U.S. moviegoers are fucking idiots.
Exactly. Like it's ham-fisted for us who wants like something more critical and like defined in its critique, whereas this is going over most, because most of those moviegoers are evangelical Christians who have this contradiction within themselves to begin with, so they don't fucking see it.
Dude, they love to consume. They are the consumers par excellence. Yeah, they're going to the theater in droves, folks. Yeah, so that's my opinion on it. Like, it's like it could have been something a little bit more interesting. And
I also think that in the mid 2000s, you're walking a fine tightrope on getting your movie boycotted.
Well, if Bush you go too hard, Bush is still in office. Westboro
Passion of the Christ is the current highest grossing movie.
Is at its apex. Yeah, Passion of the Christ is like the highest grossing movie of the era. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, Passion was a 2004 movie.
That the height of Mel Gibson.
We love Mel. What a fall. We love him.
What a fall for that man.
And yet not canceled. They're doing a sequel. And I'm not even joking. They're doing a sequel.
I know they are.
With Jim. Jim's coming back, and Mel. They're doing a sequel. They're bringing it back.
Say both of them. Okay.
Of Passion of the
Christ. I hope it's an action movie and he resurrects with a fucking AK.
Hold on. Is it the second coming?
I don't know any more than what I have told you.
It's gonna canonize Mormon Jesus, and he's gonna wake up in America.
Or is it like Jesus, his resurrection, and he's like he talks to Doubting Thomas and like all that shit.
He wakes up and he's sitting next to Vin Diesel, and Vin Diesel's like, "We got family. One more ride."
Did they do that movie in Hebrew or
Aramaic?
They did do it in Aramaic?
I know, because Jim Caviezel has learned to speak Aramaic.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen him. I've seen videos of him like giving prayers at Trump rallies in Aramaic.
Yes,
it's hilarious.
That's incredible. Send them the next time you see it.
Well, it's hilarious because the people who are there definitely say like, "What is this guy doing speaking?" Either they think there's like you're either speaking, you're speaking the Arab or the Jew. So get the fuck out of here! Like, who are you?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Quite an audience to pick there. Yeah, do not discern that there is a whole sect of Semitic languages.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so this movie was like, I would say mostly for me, not as bad as I expected. I appreciated that it wasn't jump scares. That like whenever there was something gross in and disturbing on screen. It wasn't like just like popped in my face. I always knew it was coming. And
I mean, yeah, again, they do a good job using siren audio cues to let you know when shit's about to get real.
And it's just predictable, like even beyond that.
I actually find some of the most disturbing aspects of this movie to be the swarms of bugs.
Fair. I would agree. That was pretty gross.
They're like weird little bugs, and not
all bugs are weird.
They were like little cockroach, like fucking tick type things.
If you ever want to get me onto a rant, we can have my rant about how bugs, in my opinion, are proof of alien life because they are basically biomechanical robots.
Mm-hmm. I would counter with cephalopods.
Mm.
The closest thing we'll get to alien intelligence. Fucking
yes, that's alien intelligence. I'm saying that these are programmed machines that they've sent down to cultivate and gain data.
It's the scarab swarms.
Yeah, it's not the government spying through birds. It's alien life spying through bugs. I bet you could get some people in West Virginia onto your cause.
I guarantee you it's not just West Virginia. I could get people onto my cause.
I'm saying West Virginia because Silent Hill is in West Virginia. But I agree.
So what's everybody's takeaway from this?
The one other thing I will say about this is the protagonists don't ever really struggle to find what they're looking for or an answer. Like, and that's part of like some of that video gameness coming over, I think. But I did think that was another part that I would just kind of critique a little bit about this film, in that everything is very convenient to the protagonist, whether it's Sean Bean breaking into the police or record station and immediately finding the box of police files he's looking for, or it's like
supernatural helping out.
Yeah, sure.
It was predestined by the Christian God laying it down.
Sure, yeah, you could take that view. But that was just something that bugged me a little bit. You need to have a little bit more struggle than just like the physical fight against the monsters in a horror movie, in my opinion.
Oh, look, this thing says hotel. We should go to the hotel.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, look, my daughter's drawing is in room 111's hotel slot. We should go to room 111. Oh, look, there's no room 111, but there's this giant painting in front of where room 111 should be.
Yeah.
I think it's time for ratings.
Thoughts, Ben?
I don't know. I didn't hate it. We'll see if it gives me nightmares tonight. I kind of doubt it because I watched it early enough. I'm gonna go play some Metaphor, help me feel better.
Like I told you on stream yesterday, I played like 4 straight hours of Zelda afterwards to be like, no, happy toy world.
Yeah. I didn't hate it as much as I thought. Will I go watch the sequel or the new one? Not unless you guys make me. When we run out of other options.
I think when we run out of other options, the sequel doesn't even count. Like that's not even a possibility.
I would do the new one as the sequel. Yeah. Because it is the true sequel that Christophe Gans wants.
That he envisions for
I would do another viewing of Arcane season 1, but make us all play League of Legends for 2 weeks.
Mike gets obsessed and immediately rises to platinum, and that becomes his game pick for next year.
Ugh, platinum.
My obsession for 3 months.
Is that not good? I don't know.
I mean, I assume if it follows a similar ranking system to Overwatch, platinum would be a mid rank.
Okay.
Because in Overwatch, it goes bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master, grandmaster.
Hey, maybe I'll be a top 100 player like Braun is in Madden.
When do you get to be a Grand Wizard?
That only comes when you're in the top 5 in the US specifically.
Okay.
In chat,
I only ever reached 497 US.
Yeah. So for a movie score, let's see. I give this I don't know. It really does fall between a 6.5 and 7 for me. So I'm gonna do like 6-7 as my movie score.
As far as a movie score for me, I give it a flat 6.
Okay. I'm right around where Ben is. I don't think this is a full 7 for me. It doesn't meet the criteria of like I'd put it on if I saw it on TV. I would watch this
again.
Yeah,
which is anything over a 7.
So yeah, 6.5 feels right for me.
I'm going just a flat 5.
Okay, that's fair.
I thought it was just straight mid.
Largely inoffensive.
Yeah,
it was just straight mid.
That basically comes out to we don't round that high anyways. I guess you could round it to be a 6-1.
What are we doing? Male height charting here, where anything over 6 foot is now 6'1"?
It was the actual average was 6.05. So it's like okay, if we round it up.
Yeah, that's 6'1" by functional definition of rounding.
Yeah. We'll give it 6-1. That seems reasonable.
That's close to the Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, we're right in line with Rotten Tomatoes there.
Yeah.
I'll go on video game adaptation. I'll even go a little higher than my flat 6 and say it's closer to a 7, but I'm going to give it a 6.8 because it's not a 6.9 nice.
Yeah, it's not nice.
I think they do a lot of video game ass shit. They stick to a lot of the like monsters being source material. Not the main character, so lose points there.
They also made her a woman, so double points.
Automatic deduction. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go like 6.5 just because I think even from there's all those obvious things, but like there clearly was for fans plenty of Easter eggs and that kind of shit with like you could tell when they linger on a shot a particular way, like with some of the maps, whether it's like the layout of the town or this building or the symbolism or things like that there's plenty of those little things that, having not played it, I don't follow. And it seems like an interesting enough version of the original plot with those changes made. And generally I prefer adaptations that do try to do something a little bit new, but with enough respect for what came before. Because to be honest, trying to fully adapt, like basically word for word, a video game plot is a fool's errand and will create a bad movie in a poorly paced movie because the pacing expectations for a game are completely different. So
I don't know, when they make that God of War series, if there isn't a 5-minute QTE for orgy.
Yeah, we send it back to Amazon Studios.
Which it did get sent back when all of the writers walked out.
Yeah.
I'm in pretty strong agreement with you in your analysis there, Ben, as this goes as an adaptation. So I'm gonna say 6.8. I don't really have anything to add except for there was one fun Easter egg that I don't know if any of you picked up on, where she's memorizing the hospital map layout and she's like saying left, right, left, left. She says the Konami code
based off memory.
It's a cheat code.
Yeah, she says the Konami code. So that's a fun one. But yeah, 6.8 feels good for adaptation. Again, they made they didn't do it shot for shot. They didn't try to do that, and that's generally leads to a better adaptation in my opinion as well.
I'm going 6.5. I don't have anything else to add to that. Pretty much in agreement.
So leads us to a 6.7. 6.65, 6.7 average ranking, which seems fair.
Yeah,
better than a lot of the other slop we've watched. For these things, but like,
pretty sure that like bounces on the Halo show.
Yeah.
Oh God! Thank God they got canceled.
I'm pretty sure the Halo show gives me more nightmares than this will.
I have memory hold.
Are you just like falling asleep and you just see Master Cheeks all over, just flashing behind your eyes?
No, I'm just tossing and turning at night going, oh my God, his helmet's off. Why is his helmet off? Dude, why is my asexual representation being used sexually? No.
Dude, he should have clapped alien cheeks while still wearing the helmet.
Yes.
Give me the master cheeks, but still wearing the helmet. I would have been there for that.
That's what you call respecting the source material.
Yeah. All right, gang. I'm gonna go try to wipe this from my memory, just so I can have a good day. It was not the most pleasant morning.
I would immediately watch an episode of One Piece, cleanse the palate. You know, maybe get some Jujutsu Kaisen in, watch some real cinema.
All right, folks. That'll do it for us today. Thank you all for your contributions here. Let's see. Next week is going to just be a news roundup. It's going to be be a little bit before the end of the month, but it will still be the last weekend of the month. So that is what you can look forward from us next time. But between
pretty light news month overall.
Yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot. There's just been some releases. I might just talk
unless Nintendo drops a bomb on us this week.
Yeah, it's always possible with them. You never know. But yeah,
dude, we're gonna talk about Alarmo.
No, we're gonna talk about the Pokemon lore dump.
Oh, I will talk about Alarmo though. That's an interesting one. But yeah, till then, folks, you can follow us and support us on Twitch and other platforms.
Like, why are you so aggressively leaning towards us right now on the camera
with no shirt on?
Yeah, this is some this is some POV porn type shit that I don't need.
Yeah, let me get the plugs out. Follow us on twitch.tv/campaign comrades. Check out the Patreon where you can find weekly blog posts for free. This week, like I said before, I am going to be talking about with the context of Space Marine 2, I'm going to be talking about why nerf? Why nerfs? Why hit the nerf bat? So be on the lookout for that one. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Helldivers 2, so we'll see. It should be interesting. And yeah, are you
going to mention how they're going to nerf Yajirobe and Sparking Zero?
Dude, if I ever got the game, that is absolutely who would be my main, because I love Yajirobe. He's my boy. Justice for Yajirobe.
Yajirobe.
Justice for Yajirobe. Okay, folks, we'll see.